Good evening YouTube, so I'm back here with another video, and today we are taking a look at Anze after he has received some buffs here. It's currently Saturday today in the weekend, and he's just had a hotfix actually putting in some new coefficients for his abilities and also giving him a new ability in his passive, so we should definitely take a look at that. I will jump right up into it right now. So if you just look at his basic attack here, it's still the same as it was before, I believe. 150% attack damage to all enemies and guarantees to inflict a severe wound, which is fantastic for the Yuli bosses and also Purgatory. Now his skill 2 here has been changed, and it's now up to 580% attack damage on the second stage, and the first one is still 100%, but he went from, I think, 360% to 580% or something like that. It's a pretty decent improvement there, very nice. And his passive here has been changed dramatically, and this will also change him how you are building him. Now it says that if Anze's crit rate exceeds 100%, he will gain extra crit damage and piercing. For every 1% crit rate exceeded, increases self crit damage by 5.6% and piercing by 1.6%, up to 280% crit damage and 80% piercing rate now. So the whole piercing part, it wasn't there before, it's now included, which means that now you don't have to rely on Marie's piercing buff for him. If you want to use them together or whatever, now you can use him in another team and he'll still be able to do some good damage. The reason is that he's a direct damage dealer, and per definition, direct damage is not ignoring defense. And that is one of the reasons why bleed heroes and poison heroes and HP burn heroes are just a lot stronger in this game, is because their damage type is ignoring all defense. So this built-in piercing rate will help him a lot. You have 5% piercing rate built in from your baseline, and you have another 10%, I believe, if you have a high level of Incarnate Sanctuary. So with this here, you'll end up at around a 95% piercing rate with some Incarnate Sanctuary, making him almost 100%, right? So that is very nice for him. Means that his damage on his own will be better, but we'll see in this video here how much better is he gonna be. Also, the part about the exceeding part above 100%, it says here that it caps at 280% crit rate and 80% piercing. I did some calculations, and you just need, well, just because it's kind of hard to get for some people, right? But if you can get to 150% crit rate, then you'll also get the maximum crit damage and piercing rate here. So 280% crit damage and 80% piercing rate with 150% crit rate. Now let's look at his skill 4 here. It's the Resonance ability. It's gone up from 50% of damage taken, the recording part, to 70%. That's a pretty decent buff. And also now he's stealing up to 90% of mastery. I don't remember if that was the case before. And the stolen mastery caps at 60% of self-initial crit rate instead of 45%, which also means that if you have the 150% crit rate again, you'll have the maximum benefit here as well. And you'll be stealing the 90% mastery, and 60% of that will be, 60% of your crit rate will be then converted into crit damage for yourself, okay? And then I think the ability also did get a bit of a buff, maybe. It's now doing 460% attack damage to all enemies, which is great, it's great. And with exclusives, he's now going to do this ability here with 460% attack damage, plus this one here with 680, so we are way above 1100% now, and exclusive 2 he's gonna add another 200. So I think I haven't calculated it, but I think around 1400% attack damage now on his first attack is pretty decent, at least on paper. Now let's take a look at the stats here. Before the buff, I was actually struggling to get the 500% crit damage with these stats here, and you need the 500% crit damage because of his exclusive 1 here if you want to start out with Resonance, with the Resonance ability, right? Because you get 1 point per 25% crit damage, so you need 500% crit damage to get 20 points of Resonance to make him able to start out with his Resonance ability. It's also very nice for PvP, because with the exclusive 3 down here, he will be immune to CC when he has the Resonance ability. So against an Ezreal or someone that is doing a CC before the battle starts, it's pretty much mandatory to get the 500% crit damage. But luckily now with the new change, it's very easy to get. You just need 150% crit rate, and then you just need to get around 70% crit damage from emblems like the crit damage emblem, gear, all of that, blessings, whatever. If you can get 70% crit damage from all of that in total, then you'll be above the 500% crit damage because you have a baseline of 150% crit damage from the beginning. Anyways, long story short here, let's see if how is it working now. So let's do some damage comparison here. We're going to start out with the S4. You can see he followed up with his S2, and then he also procced his exclusive 2 there with the 200% attack. Let's see the damage here. So 4 billion damage here and 71k attack. That is what he did on his first attack. Now let's try to compare him with some of the other heroes that we have been comparing him to in the past here. This is Margarita. So let's see Margarita here, because in one of my build guides, like the exclusive 0 guide, she was actually doing more damage than Anze was, and we have to remember that the damage the stat differences between these two here is huge. But she is in half a Devour, half the new crit damage set there, and you can see here it's not bad stats on her. She got 361% crit damage, crit cap, and some attack, and it's basically the same attack that he has for this test here. But you can see his crit damage is a lot higher. So anyways, now they've attacked, let's go out and see what are the results. And here I can clearly see that he's doing 4 times the damage of a Margarita now, so that is huge. But however, I also did a pre-test here before the video, and if we add Marie here, now the funny part here is that because Margarita has a bit more attack than Anze, she will start with the piercing rate buff here. So now it's actually going to be a pretty fair fight, because we can see that Margarita will also be getting the piercing rate. So now we can see how much the piercing rate does. Okay, and we also just did an attack with Marie, so we can compare that. And yeah, you can see here the damage differences between these guys here. You can see Anze is still doing the same damage he did when he was alone, 4 billion and 710k. Now Margarita is doing 2.6 here with the piercing rate buff, so I'd say maybe he's half, like 50% stronger than her, something like that. It's really not that much, to be honest, 50% or something like that. And then we have Marie here, who clearly is a limited edition hero here, and you can see that on the damage. She is just magnificent, but this kind of shows you pretty decent, I think, on the first attack at least, like how is it doing, right? And you can clearly see that he is not on the league of Marie, so you can already guess now that he can probably not, like he wouldn't be able to carry in PvP by himself, right? But he can help with some other stuff, and obviously he's going to get a lot more damage once the boss has taken the turn, 2 turns, because he is scaling off of Marie here. So maybe actually we can just see if they can survive the first attack. I don't know if they can that. Let's just see what happens here. Let's see. Okay, there. So now it went away. So let's exit the fight and see. And now you can see here the debuff, the S4 debuff that he placed. Once it went away, you can clearly see here that his damage went up like a huge factor here, because he's scaling off of the damage from Marie. And that is why he is still, like, he's dependable on other heroes to do the damage for him, and then it will look like it's his damage, but really in honesty it's her doing the damage. So, but that is how that recording damage thing works. Alright, let's see if we can test him in some other content here. Let me just pause the video and I'll be back. Okay, so I'm back here. This is a Wutherinc Coast test here. You can see it's with the temporary buff here that we have for like 70 days yet. And this is with a pretty Mesa team, I think. So let's see the damage comparison. You can see here that with this team here, I'm doing 28 billion damage. Let's just do 3 runs here to see if the damage is about the same. 28, 28, and 28. So 28 pretty stable. Now if we were to use Anze in this team here, we would have to remove the Beatrix, because Blaze is just giving too many decent buffs like attack up and speed up and stuff like that. So we'll definitely have to remove her. And now if we go and take a look if he is adding anything to this team here, you can clearly see that my damage goes down a lot once I put Anze in instead of Beatrix. And the thing is that after the hotfix the other day, where they changed it so that recording damage cannot be recorded by recorded, whatever, this is how it looks now. So from this, I'd say I won't be using Apsara together with Anze anymore, because it kind of overlaps, and you won't get the full benefit of both of them. So it's kind of stupid to put him in, but there are luckily other places where you can put him in. So some of those places that I've been trying is actually the HP burn team. For me, he is a increase in damage when I put him in instead of Little Jack. Then Anze is actually adding some damage to my HP burn team. So I believe he could be very nice asset for some of you guys in your HP burn teams if you don't have any of the other like strong heroes, but you just have a Rato or something. Because you have to remember that he also has a 40% dot debuff on his exclusive tree, the paralyzed debuff, so he's buffing Erato with 40% damage, which is pretty nice, because that is one of the debuffs that you didn't have before that, right? But you can also use him in the Indra team here if you have Indra and Diarmo and you want to put out some more damage. You can see the damage here with Xiao Jun here is like 9 billion. And then if we remove Xiao Jun and put in the Anze instead, we can see the results that he will be buffing the team just a tiny bit here. Let's see the damage result here. Damage goes up to 10 billion, so 1 billion damage. And I've seen it go to 11 also at some point in my testing here. But around 10 billion, and it's rounded up or rounded down. I don't know, but it could be 10.6 or 10.4 or something like that, right? Definitely he works in the Indra team as well. If you don't have any of the other ones, you can put him in like that. Maybe you don't have Lydia, so you just put in a Ben Austin or something like that. Maybe let's just try that here and see what happens. My Ben Austin pretty crap, but let's put him in just to see what happens here. And see what happens with this here. Yeah, so 7.5, so Lydia pretty good for that team as well. But you can definitely put him in other teams, and I think that is the way forward, especially if you are early and struggling. Like, I mean, for me, it's not really a problem or not really an issue, to be honest, because I'm already doing like 56 billion damage, and we just need 16 billion damage here. So as long as you can reach this number here, the rest of it doesn't matter at all. It's all about, you know, just competition with no rewards really, because there's no extra rewards for getting high up here. It's just pretty crazy. This one up here, I just want to note it, is from before the patch with the recorded ability, and you can clearly see here that it's maybe not working as intended, right? Because it's doing a lot of damage, like 80 billion damage is crazy. And I mean, he's doing the same damage as one of the top 8 here, top 9, right? So just from one team. So but now that's been fixed, and next week's result will look different. But you can definitely use Anze in HP burn and the other team. Now for dungeons, I would not use him in dungeons. I don't think that's worth it. We can test him out in faction abyss, actually see how hard he hits. I think that's a pretty good place to showcase him. So let's see what happens here. Let's see here. So the first here, you can see if we can even manage to get to the boss here. Where is he at now? He's there. So you can see he's not really doing, I mean, he didn't clear the wave or anything. He's not really doing that much damage, I think, but most of his damage is single target, though the debuff is also single target. It goes better than the last time for sure. So let's see here on wave 2. Let's see what happens here, and we'll see when we get to the boss if he can do anything there, because he is a boss killer. Single target killer is his role. We'll just go through this one here real quick and see if anything changed. course, I haven't been able to do 28 yet, so we'll see if we can do something on the boss here. Speed down on the boss, very nice, and we want to have the attack down debuff from Hat. There it is, so we did survive that one. We have Sortra giving us some great shields. Now we have placed the Grim Reaper buff on him, or whatever it's called, Hasten Death debuff here, so the boss should be taking some damage now the next time he takes a turn. Let's see the health bar. Yes, the health bar went away like 40% or something, or 30%, so that's pretty huge. So I think let's just see the run through here if we can manage to beat this one here. We'll have to see. Since last time I also got Sortra exclusive true, so now she's applying the cold and wet debuff for the boss, which is pretty great, helping me survive as well. Let's see in the next one. He's still got the hasten debuff here, and it's not going away yet. Let's see here on turn 2. You can clearly see that it's going okay so far, but don't want to jinx it because all of a sudden you're just getting nuked. But yeah, there you took a lot of damage there. Hat is pretty low, Annie pretty low. We'll have to see in a minute. So now the buff is away, but his resonance is ready again here. It's pretty great. So let's just watch this together here and see what happens at the end screen. Not so sure. I mean, I'm kind of expecting Anze to be the one that did the most damage based on that he gets the damage from everyone else, or at least 70% of it. So he should be the one with a lot of damage there. And we did survive that last attack here. So let's see if we can actually manage to do stage 28 here for the first time ever. I think it looks very nice so far. There he goes again, nukes it, and you can see the damage numbers here. I actually wiped at 2% or something like that. So that is what happens. But here you can see the damage. You can see the damage here. He is doing a lot more damage than the rest of the team, but that is also because he is taking all of the other damage into him, and it's going to look like it's his damage, right? So if we have to say anyone here that actually does good damage, it would be Hat over here. He's doing good damage. So anyways, I think the last thing we should do is test him in arena. So I'm gonna find some place where we can test him. Be right back. So I'm back here in some 3 vs 3 here, or some advanced arena. There's an event ongoing at the moment, and I've just beaten, well, didn't beat the first team, but the second team here I won against, and now we're against this team here. Now on paper there are no real no threats here, right, in the opposing team, but I just want to see his damage. So I think if I just do like this here, maybe he can get his turn before I nuke them everyone, because if I nuked everyone with his 4 there on lands, I think I would have killed everyone. I just want to see his damage here. So this is in PvP, and we can see his stats is here. 600% crit damage, crit rate is good, 85% attack with the attack buff from Freud and the Storm Blessing from Willa. And I also got 40% skill damage from somewhere, I think lands maybe. Now I put it on 1 speed here. Let's see his damage. How much can he do? So it's actually doing around 1 million. You can see here 907k attack on the last one. And you can see the follow-up attack from Sun Wukong is about the same. So around 900k damage on squishy people. I think that is maybe that is decent. Let's see if we can find a team where we can try something out. Maybe put him in against this team down here with the Nasil and Penny combo. Like, I know it's a Erato instead of Giselle, but once we get to it, maybe see if the CC immunity will do anything in this team here. So I'm back here. Just finish this fight off here, and we'll see against the next team. The next team here is the CC team. It's using Erato instead of Giselle for some reason, so actually just realized does she even have a control tag? So I don't think Penny's passive thing worked from the beginning, but we have been CC'd anyways. Now I think if I use my lance here, I will kill someone, and I don't want to do that. I want to see the damage from Anze here, so I'm just going to basic attack with my lance to see what happens. You can see here that Anze is still not CC'd because he's immune. And now it's his turn. So let's see what happens here. We do have the Elise. She's going to reduce 40%. No, that's only dot damage, so that doesn't really matter anyways. Let's see what happens here. So now we're nuking. Okay, yeah, they did get the immortal buff up. I didn't even see that because I'm so stupid. So, but of course the S2 from Elise procced the immortal buff. Apparently other people didn't see that. So let's just put it on to also here. We probably lose this one now because I didn't pay attention to that buff there. So that was pretty annoying. But I guess that just shows that it's not too viable with him in that setup, right? Anyways, we can see here that he did no damage really. But it's kind of hard to find. Like, I'm at the absolute end game here, so it's hard to find. Either it's teams like this here that we have to test against, which makes a pretty unrealistic result, or we have to do like none of these teams. Like, if I really wanted to, I could just it's a pushover for me. It's not hard enough. And unfortunately, these teams here seems to be too strong, to be honest. So that is definitely, you'll have to find a middle way. Like a team like this down here, I'll just annihilate. But kind of hard to find a team that we can test against without it being too broken or too easy. Try and test it against something like this here, just to see what happens. You'll probably have to remove the Sun Wukong and put this guy in here and see what happens here. Can he even do any damage? We'll have to see. Marie is just stopping the dot damage, but we can crit her, so it's not really an issue. And we want to put our Apsara Kinara buff on our Marie here for sure. Let's remove all of the buffs there. You can see I was too fast compared to the panda there, so that's not good. But let's see here. It is Anze's turn to do something, and we can only hit this guy here, and he has the immunity buff. So, but we did manage to hit some of the other guys. Okay, we almost killed that Sun Wukong there. Almost. He's like at 30% health. He was at 30% health or something like that because he absorbed the attack. And then you can see that Marie just comes in and clears someone. You can see my Giselle there is taking a lot of damage. And let's just put it on auto and see what happens at the end screen. I will just take a look at those numbers, guys, and then end the video because it's hard for me still in PvP to find a solution to use him in. But here you can see the damage. I think that's actually pretty good. The opponent had a Sun Wukong and a Murunjing, although Murunjing is not exclusive 2, so it didn't really heal anything automatically. But Sun Wukong exclusive 3 definitely reducing some of the damage that Anze is capable of doing. So I think it looks a lot better, guys. It looks a lot better now than before, for sure. I still wouldn't probably not use him in a team like this, but you can see that it's definitely better than before. That is for sure. And we can try against the team like this here. Just start it on auto and see if we can do anything. See, this is the same team as I'm using. He's just using Sun Wukong instead of Anze. And here you probably want to focus on the Marie because we want to kill the Marie as soon as possible, so that remove that exclusive 2 buff. And you can see enemy Marie is hitting pretty hard. They have the protection from Sun Wukong. The shielding is away though. I did manage to remove that. And in a battle like this, it's also about speed, because you don't want your Marie to be too fast. You don't want her to be too slow. Because the one where the debuff or the buff goes away first is most likely going to lose. So let's see what happens here. We are mostly just interested in seeing the damage. There you can see he actually killed Apsara with his S2. Anze is also killed Murunjing there. I think he's actually doing a pretty decent damage. Let's look at the numbers here at the end screen. And the numbers are like this now in this team here, guys. And you can clearly see that the buff has helped him. And I haven't re-geared him or anything like that since the buffs here. And I definitely would put him into a Devour set if I could. I'm using double Slay set at the moment just to get the crit rate to 150%. But if I could manage to maybe use Devour set 2 times Devour set, and then also still managing the 150% crit rate, I think he has some kind of potential in some PvP teams, guys. Anyways, guys, a long video, 25 minutes. Let me know in the comments down below what you think. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the video. Cheers, bye.